I'm starting this wig tutorial off with bundles from my hair company, which are on sale, by the way. 25% off wigs and bundles. This is the Peruvian Straight texture. I have bundles 18-inch, 20, 22, and 24, but I did cut the 24-inch bundle just to make it a little shorter. This is what the hair texture looks like. This is virgin hair, and this is the lace closure, a 14-inch. Now you can tell that the color is like natural black, but it has like a hint of brown in it, so I'm going to dye it black off camera. And so for the wig cap, I'm using the spandex dome cap. This is the brand that I like to use because it has the perfect stretch, and to me, I just think that it's better and it lasts longer as far as wig making. It doesn't like break or anything like that, and it has a lot of elasticity, so this is one of the best. If these are too hot for you, then you can try the same brand, but they also have a mesh version, so you can try that one out. I used a big spool of thread because I hate running out. This normally costs like $4.99 at your local beauty supply store, and a C-curved needle. These are so much better to work with. Now for my bleach and dye and everything for my roots of the closure, I'm using the L'Oreal Quick Blue. This is so amazing because it like kind of tones down the brassiness. So I'm going to do all of that off camera because I already had that process in another video. So this is what the bleach closure looks like. Most of the knots are bleached, and this is like what it looks like, the difference from the front and then the back, because before it was just regular, you know, but now the knots are actually bleached and it looks more flesh toned. And I also used Shimmer Lights shampoo to tone down the brassiness of the bleach because I had to bleach it for like 40 minutes. So I'm going to start with first always applying my lace closure. I do have a bad hand injury, so I took my brace off, so it was kind of hard to actually do this video. But I would recommend you to use pins or like stick pins or safety pins, not safety pins, but like push pins to secure the lace closure. And I just start stitching from the side. Now with this, you have to be careful. Like the best way to make sure that your cap is going to fit is to sew on the first layer of the band, not sewing all the way through all 3 layers. Like I never sew through the band, if that makes sense. The elastic band is like about an inch thick, so, or wide, so I always just sew on top of that material, and then once I get towards the back, I'll just sew it through the actual cap. But you don't have to worry about it falling apart or anything like that. It's just that when you sew through the band, it's hard to stretch and your wig is probably going to be too tight. So I'm just showing you guys a close-up of how I sew it in a like a U shape. Okay, so this is what it should look like when it's done properly, making sure that both ends are perfectly aligned with the sides of the wig cap. And of course the front is going to be loose because you're going to actually cut that. So this is just what the stitching looks like. So I'm starting at the base, of course. I'm using the 24-inch. I always use the longest one. Some people like to use the shorter ones, but I'm not sewing through the thick band. I'm sewing through the material. If you can see like what I'm doing, you can kind of tell that the spandex is what I'm actually sewing through for these first like 2 or 3 rows. And I'm also doubling the wefts because when you're doing 4 or more bundles, sometimes it can get really bulky, so I'm just doubling the wefts. And I'm not sewing through all of them. I sewed through the first 2, like when I did the first stitch, just to secure it, but like on the regular stitches, I'm just sewing under, and then I'm going back over, and then under, and then over again. And sometimes it might get messy, like hair will get stuck or whatever, but you can just pull it out and then just readjust your strands. Now I keep stitching like this until I get to the end, and then I make sure to secure it by tying a knot. Sometimes I might do two, and also to secure it I sew all the way through both of the wefts just to make sure it stays like secured. And then normally I would just wrap it over and keep going. But for this specific one, I thought that I might wear it in a ponytail, so I didn't want the back to be like bulky on the side. So I just actually cut the wefts, but you don't have to cut the wefts at all in order for it to lay flat, but that's just what I did. So this is another row of me doing it. This is kind of like single. I think I'm doing singles now, because once you get towards the top, you don't want your hair to be bulky if you're doing double wefts. So I just do the flip over method. Once I get to the end, I just go to the other side. Well, I flip over and I go to the other side. And I'm making sure that I do not sew through the band, except for on the actual cap part, like right here. As you can see, I'm going all the way through the cap, under and over, under and over. And this is just my typical stitch pattern. And you're going to do this until you get to the very top. And also I do double my thread, because years ago I used to do single strands and the thread would literally pop sometimes. So in order to secure a sew-in or whatever you're sewing, make sure that you have double wefts. I mean, you know, double thread. So this is what it looks like. And I think I did not dye it yet, but this is just what it looks like before I dyed it. This is the stitching. This is how I finished it at the top, and I did do single rows, and I did end up cutting the wefts at the top, just the very top, because I wanted it to lay flat so that I can sleek my hair down towards, like, you know, my edges, so that it won't be bulky. So make sure that you remember that part if you are, you know, a beginner or whatever. Yeah, that's just it for this part. Just wanted to give you guys an up close, and you can see it laying flat. Okay, so this is what it looks like after I plucked it and I dyed it. So right now I dyed it with a box kit from I think Soft Sheen Carson or Dark and Lovely or whatever. And I did pluck with tweezers, and I do have a dedicated tutorial on how I plucked and, you know, bleached the closure and everything else. I just decided not to show it because, you know, for the time's sake or whatever. But this is just what I did. I plucked like the second part of it. Right now you can see some of the bleach knots, because like I said, I had to dye it black, so that adds like a bigger contrast there. But I'm going to customize it and put the foundation on it so that it won't even show. And this is a video that you can click on. There's going to be a link in the description box or a card to where you can see how I bleached the closure and how I plucked it also. So this is what it looks like on me. I'm going to actually cut and do a little customization on camera and show you guys how I do like the mini baby hairs to basically make the unit look more natural. And this is actually before I put the foundation on it, and you can see like how natural it looks. Like you really can't even tell that I had the over bleach knots in some areas. So I think that I did a good job. And I don't use any glue or anything like that. I use even edge control, and then like everything just lays down. I don't have to worry about my edges coming out or anything like that. No more got to be glued because it pulled my hair out, and I have a detailed video for that. So this is my favorite stuff right here. This is the olive oil heat protectant spray, but this is really good for doing like a silk press to get your hair like really silky. And I also like to use the Organics coconut oil. It's amazing. And that was by Silk Elements. So I'm just brushing that through, and I'm going to go ahead and flatten my hair first with a Conair Infinity curling iron. And this part, the makeup and everything, was a part of my previous video, my Get Ready With Me. So if you want to see that, check that video out. But yeah, I'm just flattening my hair because some people like to use mousse, but I just like to use this because I just don't like my hair wet. But this is really going to make your hair look really natural and sleek and less bulky. And I did add the foundation at this point. I just put some foundation on my lace closure, and I'm going to straighten it. And keep in mind, my hand is still injured, so I couldn't do too much. I had to do like half flat ironing in big sections, and then I ended up going to the bathroom and doing it off camera. But this part is the easiest part. Okay, so I could have left it like this also, but I just chose to sleek my baby hairs down just a little bit with the edge control. But that's basically it to this whole tutorial. I just used my colored foundation with a brush to make it look more like my natural skin tone. And that's it. Comment below and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the wig, and check out my previous videos.